Hey everyone, hi. It's I sent out a notice I'd be starting at 8. I'm amazed. I originally set it for 7 and 7:15, 7:30. It's 8:15 now. But here we are. So this is my 45th live stream. It's the 22nd, which includes of those which include a tribute to the work of Francis Brabazon. But especially the theme of this one is for Mehera. Now, if you see the picture of Meher Baba and Mehera there, and there's a picture of Mehera there, and there's a picture of Mehera with Mani, and there's a painting that Zeke made of Mehera. Who is Mehera? Mehera was the closest woman disciple of Meher Baba, and she was, as he said, his Sita. As Sita was to Ram, as Radha was to Krishna, as Mary Magdalene was to Jesus, the feminine counterpart, the beloved of the divine beloved, the one who sets that imprint in the consciousness of humanity during the advent of the Christ, the avatar, the divine being. And although I did not meet Meher Baba in this lifetime, I certainly had many opportunities to meet Mehera, and I can say she was the most extraordinarily loving human being, beyond any conception we have of those words, of a loving human being. And Baba had said that as God in human form, which is who Baba said he was, and certainly, to me, that's true. Baba said that as God in human form, no one loves me as I should be loved. You all love me, he said to his followers, who he called his lovers. He said, you all love me, but only Mehera loves me as I should be loved. And being around Mehera, you had the sense of so many facets of that, but in particular, after a while, the extreme thoughtfulness for Baba's needs, and since Baba, after 1969, was no longer physically present, the thoughtfulness for our deepest needs at the moment. And I'll share some stories about that, one or two little ones, personal. Anyway, so in history, there is Radha and Sita and Mary and all these figures. And so this song of mine, the first song, is based on around a story in the life of Ram and Sita. Sita was, in the story goes, was abducted by the demon Ravana, and he kept her for 10 years, and he tried to ravish her, and of course she would have nothing to do with him. And at one point, Ravana's consort said, why don't you appear to her as Ram, and then she will, give in to your demands. And he had the power to do that. But as soon as he went back to his wife, his consort, and said, as soon as I took the form of Ram, all of my carnal desires vanished. So this is the purest. Baba also said Mehera was the purest being in the universe. So this song is about Ram seemingly believing the lies that he'd been told about Sita, that she was now consorting with Ravana. Although he knew it wasn't so. For 10 years, he did not go to rescue her. And it is considered his weakness in that avataric incarnation. And as a student of A Course in Miracles, I was particularly struck by the archetypal nature of that story, and how we can see guilt in others, especially in our intimate partner. And we can see guilt in them because of their nature, or something we imagine in their past, or we can see it because of what we are projecting. And in truth, our partner, male or female, in a truly intimate relationship, is a pure soul, a manifestation of the divine. Lynn doesn't like when I talk too much. She likes me to get to the music. I'm getting to the music. I swear to God, I'm getting to the music. Okay, so that's what this story is about. So it has all those levels of meaning. And of course, Ram and Sita. Sita was the counterpart of Mehera. could you have been so cruel to cast your seat away? How could one so divine be such a fool and walk so far from love's way? Can you not see Sita's innocence? How long will darkness cloud your mind? She loves you more than life itself. In the face of such pure love, oh Ram, be kind. Ram, in decreeing this cruel fate, you have parted your own self from you. How could one so infinitely great be so blind and so untrue? Sita abides your perfect will, but how long must she endure? Release her from this exile and welcome her sweet love back to your door. Ram, oh Ram, new Ram, Ram. Sita is innocent and has always been. She cannot even conceive of sin. In the past and the future it is still the same. Return unto your sheath that arrow of blame. Wrong. 12 long years have passed. Is your penance now complete? Lovely Sita waits only to return. Surrender your will at love's seat. Forgotten man though you may be, you have played the perfect fool. Let darkness no longer cloud your mind. Accept true learning now at love's school. The Sita is innocent and has always been. She cannot even conceive of sin. In the past and the future it is still the same. Return unto your sheath that arrow of blame. Run. How could you have been so cruel to cast your Sita away? How could one so divine be such a fool and walk so far from love's way? Ram, Ram, oh Ram, Ram, oh Ram, Ram, oh Ram, Ram. Thank you, Elena. Oh, my girl loves the songs that are the truest, the most love-centered. My girl loves them the most. There's Elena. Most of you know Elena. She likes to be here for these. Okay. I got my cheat sheet here. Let's see. Okay, next. I'm going to read. I will take this down, and you should still be able to see. preparation. We'll read the next 7 stanzas from the epic poem Stay With God by Francis Brabazon, picking up where we left off 5 days ago. And in this one he talks about the Tibetan masters Naropa and Tilopa. I'm hearing some feedback. Zeke, can you press those buttons? There's a button on this new amp that stops feedback. You see them? The 2 on the right next to the 2? No, over there on the right. Yeah? Hello? Well, that's no feedback. Okay. So, these are, thank you, Zeke, darling. These are stanzas, I've numbered them. There's no numbers in it. Book 1, stanzas 39 to 46. And I think I'll put on my glasses just to be less stressed. We have been told of God's sacrifice for us, but not instructed regarding our required sacrifice to Him. Surely a doctrine for shopkeepers who don't like fair trade. We affirm, unless one die, and take it that affirmation is sufficient to bring about our death. Our beloved Master would never think of helping us along. This is, of course, death of the ego self. It has not been lovingly explained to us that a blow from the hand of God is a caress from Him of most love. We do forget this. The crucifixion of Avatar is continuous. Krishna's disciples witnessed it as the divine flute player, struck with the poisoned arrow, cried his cry in their hearts to awaken. Jesus' disciples knew it, and Rama's, when lotus-eyed Sita was torn from him, and he on the battlefield, and the muscles of his body like whipcords, and the sweat pouring from it. And thou, whoops, sorry. And he on the battlefield, and the muscles of his body like whipcords, and the sweat pouring from it. And thou, Baba, with your broken body, and the thorns of our heedlessness in your gentle flesh. Bright jewel, your greatness is in your humiliation. Your sun glory is in your moon gentleness. From your suffering is born all singing. A ray, beloved, from the jewel of your pain. An arrow ray, a sudden rifle ray in this density called heart, that my soul, enwrapped in a shadow coat of your glory, may sing you and continue to unfold the story of your love. Listen to the delightful story of the mercy of God in the form of Tilopa, and how he brought up Naropa from the gate of hell and bestowed on him eternal bliss of truth. Naropa was a bright young man, earnest and gifted. One night, he was engaged in a liquidation ritual for someone he didn't like the look of, when an angel appeared and warned him, if you cannot absolutely guarantee him a better birth next time, you yourself could drop back the rounds, even to stone stage again. This gave our young dabbler in lives a terrible fright, as no doubt it would have any usurer or manipulator or other human trafficker if they had been so told by an angel, or anyone who could shine sufficiently brightly. So he asked the angel what he'd better do, and the angel said, luckily I just got here in time. So-and-so's limbs are not yet unstrung, nor his soul shortened of experience. Go find Tilopa, who is the Jesus of this time. He can save you. So Naropa tramped off, inquiring as he went, did anyone know the whereabouts of Tilopa, savior of men? None did. But he would come across a butcher skinning a beast who would ask him to lend a hand. And our honors student would be palely offended, and a voice would say, "Too bad, young fella, that was I, Tilopa, who asked you." Or come up with someone swigging plonk who would offer him some, but he was choosy who he drank with. And the voice would say, "That was I, Tilopa, who asked you." It was not long before our young friend developed chronic anxiety. But eventually he caught up with a real flesh and blood Tilopa. Elena likes putting on the drum track here. Let me just lower it a bit. Okay. I thought she could accompany me in the songs, but not during the readings, babe. Okay. But it was not long before our young friend developed chronic anxiety. But eventually, he caught up with a real flesh and blood Tilopa, sitting by a water hole, picking the bones of fishes and snapping his fingers, whereat the bones became reclothed with flesh, and the fishes plopped back into the water hole. Naropa flung himself in the dust and grabbed his feet and begged him to be reasonable and allow him to go along with him. And Tilopa, who had all this time only been teasing him, allowed him. Now Naropa's real troubles began. Life with Tilopa was one long and unfailing embarrassment, as exampled when a bride and her escort of male relatives passed, and Tilopa said, "I want that girl. Get her." Naropa was left half dead on the road. Tilopa hadn't even waited. But all roads lead eventually to the Master's grace, and Tilopa's to a campfire one evening, and Tilopa whacking him over the head with a chapel shoe and knocking him up to the sixth plane of God. Now, when we come back next time, maybe in a few days, it'll begin with another story dear to devotees, is the story of Jalaluddin. Jalaluddin Rumi. We've all heard of Rumi. Well, this is a bit of the story of Rumi enchanted breeze. It's wonderful. Okay. Now. Okay. This next song, in keeping with the theme, is called "You Are My Radha." Now, the actual Radha, the actual Sita, the actual Mehera, the actual Mary Magdalene, their being is really beyond anything we could imagine. And yet, their relationship with the Divine One sets a sort of template for love in our experience. Zeke, could you turn that off now? Would you mind? The feedback button? Hi. Zeke does not like to be on camera, but she is so helpful behind the scenes. Oh my God. Both of them, just undo them. Thank you. I could not do this. This is not just saying it. I could not do this without Zeke's help and patience and tolerance for disrupting the whole household schedule. And I mean, I want to tell her it's Baba because I had other plans, but really, her patience is the same regardless. She's looking at me like, what do you call it? Patience. But there it is. Okay, so this is kind of about soulmates. You could say that Radha and Krishna, Sita and Ram, these are more than soulmates. They are really one soul. But that gives us the idea of soulmates. And it's a bit of an illusion sometimes, but it also touches on something deep within the soul, longing to unite with its other half. So this song kind of straddles those two worlds. and it is called You Are My Radha. And these are all my songs. Most of you who've been listening know that already. Excuse me. In the beginning of time, there was a bubble in the ocean. It split in two. Half was me and half was you. Now that I have found you, I cannot let you go. If you will not come to me, then I'll have to come to you. For lifetimes we've been bouncing here inside our bubbles, lost inside their rainbows, different colors, different hues. Now we are dissolving into his great ocean. We must be reunited before our journey is through. Born of Radha and of Krishna, born of Shiva and Parvati, born of Sita and of Ram, we are two, yet we are one. Born of Mehera and his Mehera, like the moon and like the sun. Let's dissolve away together, so the two may become one. You are my Radha, my Sita and Parvati, daughter of dear Mehera, the ever-loving one. You are my beloved, in this drama I am living. I'm giving all my love to you. My own glory has begun. Now how may I win you? Draw the love that's in your soul. Take the broken pieces and make the circle whole. I cannot replace you, for you are like no other. I must dissolve away to know the wholeness of my soul. Now we play the ancient story that was written before time. I offer all my love to you. You question my designs. Now I must convince you with the blood of my heart's core. I love you past the end of time, as I've loved you long before. La 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 la. You are my Radha, my Sita and Parvati, daughter of dear Mehera, the ever-loving one. You are my beloved, in this drama I am living. I'm giving all my love to you. My own glory has begun. La 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 la. La 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 la. I love you past the end of time, as I've loved you long before. Elena, we can sit down now. We can sit down now, okay? We can sit down now. We can both sit down now. All right. Can move that a little bit closer. Hello again. So, oh, Baba. We've got two more songs, but something else first. Ooh. I'm going to share some stories about Mehera. Okay. So I've got some notes to remind myself. So it's almost impossible to describe meeting someone like Mehera. You can only imagine and then go beyond your greatest imagining of someone so intimately loving God that they love the beloved in you, in everyone. See only the beloved in everyone. So we would gather usually in the afternoons by Baba's porch, and Mehera would come out and maybe tell stories, maybe show photos of Baba that touched her deeply. And I'm remembering two particular moments when she was sharing a particular photo of Baba and taking it to each of us standing at the foot of the porch, the veranda. And when she got to me, she showed the picture, and her eyes, she glanced at me. And it was just in passing, no one else would have noticed, but it was like a flash, like a gentle flash from an old-time camera that stilled my mind. And just nothing was there but the awareness of love. Mehera would give Prasad, Baba's candy that was blessed. And to the women, she would place it in their hands. But to the men, you'd put your hands out cupped and she would drop it. It's a little candy, a little like orange candy. And Prasad from the master it is said, Baba said, when I give you Prasad, just take it immediately. And it's a gift that redounds to your freedom. And Mehera used to drop it in our hands, and it was like, plop. And it was like dropping a little pebble into the water the way she did it. And you could feel the ripples. I don't know how to explain when a loving being like that does something so simple. But when we first met her, it was, for me, it was 1972, 3 years after Baba had dropped his body. And Mehera's grief, Mehera was the one who freely expressed her grief and would say, why didn't you take me? Why didn't you take me with you? And she couldn't. Elena, hold on one moment. Do you need to go? If you're in the show, you got to be in the show. Let's sit closer together. Okay? So, in the beginning, she was in tears. She was in tears just when she mentioned Baba's name. And at one point, her grief was so great. And suddenly she looked out her window, and there was a tree outside her bedroom window. And suddenly, in the structure of the tree itself, Baba's face appeared. And it wasn't just that she saw it, we all saw it. Everyone could see it. There were pictures of it. It was an astonishing reassurance, and she would say, and Baba is telling me I haven't gone anywhere. I'm always here with you. And she could barely get the words out. And then she would say how much Baba loves his lovers. She said how much he gave up, sacrificed for his love for you. He used to love to speak and laugh, and he gave up his speech for his work. And she said he had such a beautiful singing voice. He loved to sing. And he gave all that out of his love for us, for his work in this incarnation. And she said to just please him by being happy in his love. What a demand, huh? Please him by being happy in his love. I want to share also about, I had the wonderful opportunity to sing before Mehera. Oh, and as years passed, she finally kind of came into her own, and she was, whatever grief she had was not showing, just the joy and the love and the buoyancy of her constantly being in Baba's presence. So, and many would come to sing to her, and I was one of those lucky people who wrote songs and sang, and so at one time I was there, and I was asked to sing, and there were these little stools on the porch. So I'd get on the porch, and I sat on the stool, and I sat on a pretty high stool, so that everyone could see me, because there was a big crowd around. And I sang the song, and then my friend Arsenio had wonderful Spanish songs, and he was standing over back there, and he was going to sing, so I didn't want to be in a position of prominence. So I just quietly got off the stool and crouched down next to it. And before Arsenio could start singing, and it's a lot of people there, Mehera gestured to one of the women who helped her, assisted her, said, "Get Tony a stool." And this woman quickly, Casey I believe it was, her name was, went to get a stool and bring it to me. And she said, she pointed, there was a mid-sized stool and a lower stool. And Casey was bringing the mid-sized stool. And Mehera said, "No, not that one, that one." Because she knew my sensibility to not want to be in a position of prominence when someone else was singing. That's the kind of sensitivity and love that you can't describe, except in a story like that, maybe. She particularly liked two of my songs, and one was a ghazal by Francis Brabazon that I'd set to music that says, "I would never have troubled about love if love had not troubled me. I would never be on this raft if I had not been chucked into the sea," and what God puts you through to become a loving human being. And she loved it. She really loved it so much. She said, yes, I like it very much. And she looked at me and she said, "But you didn't write the words, did you?" And of course, it was way beyond my experience at that time. I wouldn't say so now, but it certainly was then. And there was one other song that had a coda at the end. The main part described a real challenge I'd gone through for 10 years in my life with Baba, with some people and situations that were not very good or healthy. And I felt I was back in Baba's presence after all those years. And she took the whole thing in, really got it. I knew she did. And the last part was just a hymn to the beauty of his eyes. And the next day I came back and she asked me to sing another song, and I said, "Which one, Mehera?" And she just gestured like this, his eyes. It's hard to express the intimacy and love in that. She loved the idea of a song praising his eyes. So now this is going to lead into the next song. When she passed, which was 31 years ago, today, May 20, 1989, my grief was beyond words. I've experienced loss plenty in my life, and death, and you sob and you feel it. But with Mehera, it was different. I couldn't even express that because you can't replace a Mehera. A Mehera was so unique, so loving. It was impossible to believe life without without Mehera in it. How could life go on without this? If you know Lord of the Rings, think a bit of maybe Galadriel, not from the movie, but from the book. This being that in a way, as the feminine aspect of God, sustains life with that love. So I had a loss that I just had to live with, a grief, not a loss. And a year later, to the moment of her passing, I left a gathering in New Jersey, and half an hour later, my daughter and I were my 2.5-year-old daughter, almost 3, she was 3. We were in a car accident. We could have both died. That's another great, wonderful story, Baba's, but I'm going to just pass that. It was just, we didn't, but we continued. But 4 years later, I had a major relationship problem in my life with Baba. And suddenly, I'm hearing all these messages come from different sources. Talk to Mehera. Talk to Mehera. Mehera can help. Mehera can help you. Mehera is good with relationship issues. Well, I was brought up Catholic, and I really did not want any of this like Virgin Mary intercession stuff going on in my relationship, personal one-on-one with Baba. And yet, Baba's sister, Mani, was suddenly putting out in notes things indicating Mehera's status. And I didn't want to hear about it. And, all right. She's heard some of these stories before. But finally, through actually a very crude male friend of mine who was a hunter and went out and shot deer, and he said, I had no relationship with Mehera, but I was out hunting and I couldn't get any more deer, and I stopped and I said, Mehera, you are the lady of the forests. You are all of his creation you represent. Please help me get another deer. And boom, boom, boom. It's such a harsh story that it got through to me. So I went home after that trip where I was visiting, and I thought, well, I'll try. And I talked to Mehera about that relationship. And to my astonishment, this wondrous being who I'd met so many times, who had died 5 years earlier, was immensely present. Immensely present. Not only that, she was giving me counsel internally with the idea to send 24 red roses to this woman at her place of work. And I did, and the relationship was almost saved. It certainly touched her heart. Now, it was not meant to go further than it had. But Mehera's love and caring was so clear. And at that time, I wrote 2 songs. And one was called Thank You, Beloved Baba. And the other, expressing this new awareness that Mehera is still here. Mehera is here, now is here. And when I call on Baba, I'm calling on Mehera. When I call on Mehera, I'm calling on Baba. Come, baby, my darling. There's no place to go. Next time, you don't have to be. But you want to be here, then just stay till it's over. Sorry. So this is the song that I wrote at that time. We're getting near the end. There's one little song after this with a little story to go with it. You want to stand up like me? You want to stand up? I have to put the words out, because the worst thing is when you get a little bit nervous with a microphone in front of you and a camera. You can forget the words or the chords, and then what happens to the beautiful song, So, Zeke, I think she might want to come. Might want to leave, and I think we should stop her. Can you come and get her? Okay. It's becoming a bad habit. She used to, Well, anyway, this is where we're at now. So this is Oh Sweet Mehera. It was written pretty much the same night as Thank You, Beloved Baba, which is kind of fitting. You want to take her out first, and then I'll start the song? Oh, sweet Mehera, beloved of the beloved of my heart, in your love for his sweet eyes, my loving had its start. I can praise you for beloved and beloved now are one. Oh, sweet Mehera, bless our hearts with love for the beloved one. Oh, sweet Mehera, beloved of the beloved, so sublime. Until I saw your dancing heart, my reason had no rhyme. I was blessed to see his beauty reflected on your face, and the gift you dropped into my hand was beloved Baba's grace. Oh, sweet Mehera, beloved of the beloved, I never knew that now when I call on my Lord, I also speak to you, and that I can call upon your love to make my love grow sweet Mehera, beloved of the beloved, through you I find it so much easier to know what I must do. I must make my life into a garment for my Lord to wear. Thank you, dearest Mehera, now that you are everywhere. Oh, sweet Mehera, beloved of the beloved, help us all to love him more and more and more and more and more and more. And ask him for me, Mehera, to help me love him as I should, with the love that he deserves. You know he can't refuse you. Oh, sweet Mehera, forgive me if my song is very young. I only learned its melody when you asked me what I'd sung. When I came to the beloved, you were all so kind to me. Thank you, dearest Mehera, Brabazon femininity. Oh, sweet Mehera, beloved of the beloved of my heart, in your love for his sweet eyes, my loving had its start. I can praise you for beloved and beloved now all one. Thank you, dear sweet Mehera, bless our hearts with love for the beloved one. Now that I can call upon your love to make my love grow strong. Thank you, dearest Mehera, you listen to my song. Thank you, dearest Mehera, you listen to my song. And I was going to end with that song. I like to do three, you know, well, beginning, middle, and end. But Baba reminded me of a song all these years. When I think of the songs I've written, I never included this one. I just sort of forgot about it. And there is a little story that goes with it. I was in India. It was the anniversary, the period of the anniversary of Baba's passing, which is a great time of celebration. But that's when he released his body. He released all the love and divinity in that body to the world to begin to really fructify in the world. I love that word, even though it's kind of harsh sounding. And I was with this group, which had its good points and bad points, a Mehera Baba group. It was a wonderful group, but it had a crazy person who took over and made it crazy. But still, even the crazy person did some good things. So, and we happened to be staying together at a place called Vilu Villa. This was in the mid-70s. And it had been the home of one of Baba's close disciples, who had been the mayor of Ahmednagar. Okay. Well, it was arranged that the women Mandali means the close disciples, would come for a special dinner at Vilu Villa, including Mehera. Very rare for Mehera to go out like that. And all the women to go out. Now, of course, Mehera, there were some restrictions Baba had on her, which she didn't feel like they were restrictions at all. But she couldn't eat with men, for instance. So when they came, all the women went into the main dining hall, and we sat out on the veranda, we guys, and we ate out there. And at one point, Baba's sister Mani, if you think of the life of Jesus, there was Mary Magdalene and Martha. So Mani would have been like Martha. And Mani is just so down to earth. Loves Baba, Baba's sister, genuinely his sister. And playful. And suddenly the door swings open from the dining hall, and who comes out on the porch but Mani? And she sits down and says, "You can't come in there." but nothing says that I can't come out here and join you. And so she did. Well, when we knew Mehera and the women Mandali were going to be coming, I wrote a song. I actually set a popular, well-known song to music. I don't know the composer's name. It's probably public, I'm sure it's public domain at this point. A song from the 30s or 40s called The Isle of Capri. And Baba loved that song. And it was on the Isle of Capri that I saw her, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And he meets this lovely woman and he falls in love with her. And then at the last verse, she said, darling, she said, it's best not to linger. Da-da-da-da, she couldn't stay. Then I saw that golden ring on her finger. 'Twas goodbye on the Isle of Capri. And she was married. But Baba told the Mandali that the actual story behind that song, which had been a popular hit, was that the woman he'd fallen in love with was a nun. And she was dressed in plain clothes. But when he saw the ring, it was the ring that nuns wear to indicate that they are married to Jesus, married to God. And of course, Baba's women disciples were sometimes, they even referred to themselves as Baba's nuns. Now, they were very out and involved in doctor and various, active people. Mani was a writer and a correspondent with the World Baba community. But they were, in a certain sense, like nuns. So I took the Isle of Capri and I wrote this song, which I didn't remember that I wrote until today. And with the song I will end this 45th live session, which is on the 31st anniversary of Mehera, as we say it, returning to Baba. For us it was a loss, but for her we know it was a reunion. It was the lover and the true beloved and the divine beloved and his beloved uniting, the divine union. So Mehera and the women Mandali have come to visit us here tonight. You bring the love of Mehera Baba with you. You are the stars in the sky of his night. And of the stars that all twinkle so brightly, there is but one that he has set apart, so that we may know how to love him rightly. She is the diamond of love in his heart. Mehera, the beloved's beloved, and the ladies who love him so true always remind us of his sweet love for us, and of all that we always must do to become worthy of all that he gives us, to make his comfort our joy and our way, and to remember that he's always with us. Avatar Mehera Baba Ki Jai. Mehera, the beloved's beloved, and the ladies who love him so true always remind us of his sweet love for us, and of all that we always must do to become worthy of all that he gives us, to make his comfort our joy and our way, and to remember that he's always with us. Avatar Mehera Baba Ki Jai. So I try to keep these live streams as, let's say, quote, secular as possible. They're all about love. But this one I had to just really bring it on home about Mehera. But still, I'm going to do what I always do, is come over and see whoever still appears on the screen that I know is here, so I can say hi. Joe Pacifico, wow. Oh, Ricky Tanzer, yes.
Evan, so good to see you here. And Bill Barry. Wow. Madeline, Anfani. And who else? They only show me who's here, just showed up at them recently. But anyway, thank you so much for being here. I was doing these every day, but I'm having to dig out old songs from the 80s and the 90s that I'd forgotten. So I'm going to do them probably about every 4 or 5 days, I think. But I will see you all again soon. Thank you so much for being here. And those who will come and see this later. And Ricky, I'm so happy you got to have tea with her. We guys didn't get to do that. But I don't feel I lost anything. So, okay. I'm going to say bye-bye. See you all soon, God willing. Jai Baba.